Welcome back, folks, to Let's Replay Action 52, and when last we left off, we managed to complete the previous game, Man-at-Arms, and now it's time to play this game, where we may or may not be somebody called Norman.
Level 1.
In this game, we are Norman, who's driving a tank. We have to destroy all the opposing tanks that explode into blood when we shoot them, and deal with all the infantry that are trying to get us. When we shoot them, they just burn up. There are a few things to note about this tank. First, it can turn instantly, which is good because turning is the only way that we can aim in a different direction. Maybe the turret is jammed in a particular direction. Who can say? What I can say is that this is one of the few tanks that I know of that can strafe. I don't think strafing is something that vehicles are generally known for. We, I think, need to defeat so many opponents to survive. Either that, or we just need to last for a set period of time. What I do know is that there'll be 9 waves of opponents that Norman must defend against single-handedly. There are no more tanks or infantry on our side that will be helping us out. Good thing, though, that we can defeat opponents that have just moved off-screen. Level 1 is done, and it's time for Level 2. This game... Ooh, this is music that I don't think we've heard before. Is this music unique to Norman? Probably not. There are a few games still left to play. I'm sure we'll hear this music in one of them. What I was about to say is that this game shows off one of the major drawbacks of Action 52, which is that these opponents are meant to be against us, but they're actually making no special efforts to attack us. They're just moving entirely at random. You'd think that they would be focusing on trying to destroy Norman here, but no, they're just coded to move around randomly and sometimes just appear on the screen and then disappear instantly. Would you believe that one of the few games that we've played so far where the enemies actively try to take you out is Billy Bob? Darkside also had enemies that were actively trying to take you out, because they were stationary turrets and they aimed for you. Most other opponents don't bother. Also, that tank is extremely fast, and so is that infantryman. An infantryman that can move as fast as a tank that's moving that quickly is a really fast infantryman. Maybe they too want to join the Olympics. Either way, we're going to try our best to survive as long as we can, and rack up as many points as we can. Why do we need those points? So that we can move on to the next level, of course. Staying in the middle is a really good idea, and it's a good thing that none of the opposing tanks have been coded to move in the strafing manner that we can. Otherwise, we'd be in some serious trouble. Though we do really need to be careful, because the slightest touch from any of these opponents, and we are done. I imagine the infantryman put some explosives on the side of the tank that are set to detonate instantly. As for the collision with the opposing tank, maybe they're made of a highly destructive material that detonates Norman's tank instantly. I doubt the game's going to give any explanation as to why we die on contact. You'd think that some of these tanks would start firing on us, or the infantrymen would start firing with their weapons, but no. Much like many of the games, this game relies on contact to defeat you. Let's see if we can... I think I shot somebody without being able to see them there. That's a good thing. Unfortunately, that infantryman touched the back of our tank and it exploded. Good thing for us that Norman was able to find another tank, even though there are no other tanks that he could use here. Or maybe he took one of the opponent tanks and quickly gave it a coat of paint. That could happen. I can just imagine him with a giant stockpile of grey paint in this tank. There are stranger explanations for things in games. We're on level 5 now. And all the opponents, I imagine, are going to be even faster soon enough. I could just imagine the tanks just whizzing across the screen in half a second. Then again, many of the opponents have been quite slow so far. They're probably quite wary in taking on Norman, considering how many opponents Norman has defeated. Then again, maybe this isn't Norman anymore. Maybe when Norman's tank exploded, we moved to a different area. I highly doubt that. I imagine Norman just has lots of cans of paint. We have a few more lives. Maybe we can get to the later levels. Or much like Man-at-Arms, will somehow manage to get to the very end because the AI of the opponents will be such that they just generally avoid us. We were able to take out our foe there, but our foe also took us out, making me wonder if the barrel of our tank is also in our hitbox. That could very well be the case. Unfortunately, we'll never know, because we've been defeated. It's time to move on from Norman and go to the next game, which is a two-player game, Armor Battle.
Level 1.
Hey look! It's the stuff from the game we just played, but it's two-player. And it's much like the game that we played before in space. We just have to deal a lot of damage. Colliding does nothing this time, and our shots are not accurate anymore. Maybe the barrel is broken, but either way, we were victorious. And the barrel is once again facing the correct way. How will the game make it different this time? Will it aim to the right? Yes, it will, which means we just have to do this to be victorious. This is the penultimate two-player game, because there's another game just before the challenge game at the very end that's two-player. The two-player games are certainly disappointing. I was expecting a lot more from the two-player games, but then again, perhaps it was a mistake to expect a lot from any of the games here. We've nearly won! We're on level 8 here. And that is a definitely inaccurate turret there. Also an infeasible turret. And that just makes no sense whatsoever. But either way, we're victorious. And it's time to move on to the next game. Eventually. There we go. Let's scroll all the way over to here. I do wish the game would remember where you were before, but maybe that's too much to ask as we move on to game number 43, Magic Bean.
Level 1.
In this game, we're climbing a giant beanstalk, and the giant up above is throwing everything he can at us, like small knives, and horseshoes, and bottles and shoes. All we have to do is dodge all of them. I like to think that this is not Jack, but somebody who works for the council and is going up to tell the giant that he's littering. It's going to be quite a fine you're going to accrue. You could probably pay for the pavements in the entire kingdom with this fine. After all, the litter that you're dropping is substantial and large, and is probably dealing a lot of damage to all of the properties beneath the beanstalk. We're going to have to climb up this quite a ways. Aha! We are at the castle. Your fine has been issued. Unfortunately, the giant didn't learn, and so we have to climb again. And the music is needlessly comical, probably because this is getting a little bit ludicrous for the council member here. Look, I know you went up there and delivered it, but you're gonna have to deliver another one. He's still littering everywhere. What, really? Can't we just shout at him really loudly? No, you have to deliver this in person. What if he doesn't open the door? Then just leave it in front of his door. That's good enough. We could just shout at him. No, you must climb up there. And so, he climbed up. Imagine if you fell. Imagine if this was King's Quest 1. I remember climbing up the beanstalk in King's Quest 1. The original. It was very tricky.
Level complete.
Level complete.
Level
Let's move on
3.
to the third climbing of the beanstalk. It's getting absurd at this point. You really should just bring him in for a court hearing. This littering is getting out of hand. It already was out of hand the very first time it happened. The obstacles aren't getting any faster. They're not really getting any more numerous either. I really don't want to see what happens when we do get hit by one, but I'm sure we will, because inevitably we'll collide with something. My guess is that we're just going to fall, and that will really hurt. Also, it doesn't seem like the beanstalk is getting any larger, which does make sense. There's a giant castle on top of it. There we go.
Level complete.
Level complete. Either the castle is
Level
very
4.
far away in the distance there, or it's just a normal-sized castle. I know there's a giant at the top of this, so it probably is just far away. Doesn't seem... Also, how am I going to hit those obstacles over there? They're all the way off the beanstalk. The chance of me hitting them is 0. I'm not going to climb off the beanstalk. We'll fall and die. But some of them are starting to move diagonally, and a little bit faster, which does add another element of challenge. Not a substantial element of challenge though, because, as I said, the beanstalk isn't getting any larger. Let's go over there. I doubt... No, we can't actually move off the sides of the beanstalk. I was just checking.
Level complete.
They could have let you do that, who knows?
Level 5.
We're halfway through. And some of the obstacles are moving diagonally already. Also, this giant has a lot of daggers, horseshoes, shoes, cups, and just all manner of things to throw. Why would you throw all of these things out? They all look pretty serviceable. Also, I nearly hit that there. Don't want to be hitting anything here. How many pairs of shoes can you have, giant? Apparently a lot. Oh, careful. Don't want to get hit by a giant horseshoe. That implies that the giant has a giant horse. Can't imagine how big the giant horse is. We're nearly there. There we are. Marvellous.
Level complete.
Level complete.
Level 6.
Level 6 now, and we have quite an impressive score here. Oh! And indeed, we do
Level
fall off the screen when we die. There wasn't much I could do to survive there, was there? Need to be very careful. The number of obstacles is increasing substantially as we get to the later levels. That said, many of the obstacles will appear in places where they can't possibly hit us, so we're just left with a rather safe climb at times. But only at times. This is definitely more difficult than level 1. I wouldn't say this is a very challenging game, which is the reason why it's in the easy section. But I'm sure it will still find a way to defeat me either way. We're getting there. Not long now. Soon we'll hand over another fine. At least the hitboxes in this game are very reasonable. I was half expecting to perish to that, dagger there. Time to climb once more. More fines. These fines must really be worth it if, well, we're gone. They must really be worth it if we're willing to send somebody up to climb that beanstalk every time. Carefully does it. We don't have many lives left. I do want to complete this game if I can. Keyword if I can. Ideally, I complete every game. But knowing what the final game in this collection is, this is all practice for that one. Because challenge is indeed a substantial challenge. Oh, careful. This is all practice for that one. We want to make sure we get to the next level. Nearly there. Oh. Where are those clouds? There they are! Brilliant. Level 7 complete. And we still have 2 lives. Now, if we can make sure that we don't die this time, we'll have 2 attempts to get through the very final level. And the giant is just throwing everything at us now. Maybe the giant is coming to terms with the fact that all these fines are piling up. And now they're starting to add the threat of legal action as well. And the giant's had enough. You're not sending me to court down there. And then the littering only got worse. Which is just going to make things even worse for you when you do eventually get summoned to court, Mr. Giant. Maybe you shouldn't have been littering to begin with, but you could have stopped at any time. Any time. It's time for the final level. Will we get the ultimate showdown? No, it's very likely instead that we'll just be climbing this beanstalk. There are a lot of obstacles, to be fair. This is definitely more challenging. And quite a few of them are actually in places where we can get hit by them, but some are just far on the left or the right, and we'll never get hit by them. Carefully does it. This can't be just one person throwing all of this. There have to be multiple people. Either that, or the giant has just turned over a massive bin and is just emptying everything out. Must be a really massive bin. Are we nearly at the top? It's time for that court summons, Mr. Giant. You've littered way too much. Oh no! Never mind! We were successful. And still fell. Maybe we just threw the court summons up going, here's some court summons! Ah! It's time to move on to the next game. After succeeding there, it's time for Apache.
Level 1.
We are using this helicopter, and we're fighting the generic army once more. It's Daphne Jr. once again, doing battle. And this music has made a return. I thought this music would be unique, but it's not. Also, I think that rock actually killed us. So we need to avoid the rocks as well as all of the things being used by the generic army. Are we really flying that low that the rocks are going to defeat us? Considering the fact that that tank there could move over rocks? Either that or that's a really, really tall pile of rocks. So, we need to avoid more than I thought. At least we don't have to avoid the body of water there. Daphne Jr. is putting up a good effort to fight the generic army. Though we know that the generic army win pretty much every time, apart from that one time when we were controlling someone from the generic army. Also, when the enemies spawn in the walls to the left and right, they actually can't move past those walls, and I shouldn't have moved over there. That was a silly thing to do. Should have really avoided that area completely. That said, we've pretty much seen all that we're going to see in this game, I imagine. That one there was able to move. Why couldn't the other ones move? Maybe it was because they spawned part way between the walls to the side and the area that we can move. And that means that they can't move at all. Also, they have helicopters as well. We'll keep that in mind, just in case we need to use one of them and give it another coat of paint. I like that idea in my mind now, that whenever we need to switch to a different vehicle, we just give the ones that we're seeing around us a new coat of paint and just pilot that instead. Or drive that in the case of Norman. Can we get to level 2? I hope we can. At the very least, we'll be able to hear the other music in this game. Careful. Oh, that was a rather bad hitbox. I don't think I was that close to that plane. Either way, we have lost a life. We might not even get to level 2 in this game. Maybe not. Maybe I was closer to that plane than I first thought. But there are definitely instances in Action 52 where the hitboxes are not fantastic. We need to be careful, we definitely need to avoid them because they're the ones that are causing us all the difficulties here. And the rocks. Got to keep avoiding those rocks. Unfortunately, Apache didn't work out so well for us. So let's move on and go to the next game, Paratrooper.
Level 1.
There we are, and we have a laser gun, and we're doing battle with all of these robots. And we need to grab these, so let's grab them. There we go, careful. We need to make sure we don't hit these walls by the looks of it. All we need to do is grab all of the large computer chip-like things here. And that's it. We can move straight over these trees. The robots aren't the real threat here. It's the scenery that's going to get us killed, if anything else. You need to be very careful and grab this. So this is basically like the Mousetrap game. Except we're defending ourselves with a laser gun, and there are robots. Also, we're moving faster, and I don't think the walls actually kill us. There is a hurt sound, but it doesn't seem like we're actually hurt. Need to be very careful and fire constantly whenever we're in danger. We could fire all the time, but I'd rather wait until we actually need to. And try our best to grab the ones that are exceptionally close to the edges of the screen right away, because those are the ones that will get us killed. Careful! Oh, we narrowly avoided dying there, and now we are on level 5. There are more things for us to grab here. We need to be very careful. Stay away from the edges, though the game will force us to go there. At least our projectiles will go over these walls. These walls, by the way, have never changed position. They are in exactly the same place in each level. It's only the placement of the things we need to grab that is altered, and there are even more of them now. And that robot is really fast. They're not pulling any punches here. Send out the ultra-fast ones. But sir, they're so quick they may break the fabric of reality. I don't care. The Paratrooper must be stopped before he collects all those weird things that we don't know the purpose of. Also, because we started on that one, we managed to grab that one immediately. Why are you saying that, sir? I don't know. That's because he said what I was going to say. And we perished. Fortunately, much like in Mousetrap, we just need to grab the ones that remain. Which is good because it's getting quite difficult now. Let's grab this quickly. And we've completed level 7. We have 2 levels to go and 3 lives to complete them. Let's grab as many of these as possible before we inevitably get hit by, yep, one of the super fast robots. And then everything will move position, hopefully to better positions. Never mind, because that robot just went, "Hi, do you want to die?" "No, not really, too late." Ah! And then we perished. We have 1 more life. Let's just fire all the time now. And that didn't help us, I'm afraid. For we perished, though we got really close to completing that game. And when we come back, folks, we'll move beyond Paratrooper and go to game number 46, Sky Avenger. There aren't many games left to go. There's also the music demo and the randomizer. Do you want things random? More random than they already are? In which case, randomizers for you. But we're not there yet. Sky Avenger is next. And so, I'll catch you next time, folks, and I'll see you then. Later.